Good morning, you guys. It's Shanda. I'm happy to be here, and I am back at home drinking out of my hardcore business. You've got this cup. So I wanted to share with you this morning that it's happening no matter what. It's literally happening no matter what. I'll never forget when I was coming back from Sedona, Arizona, and I was there really doing I guess a spiritual quest, really trying to turn to God for some guidance when my life really wasn't working. I was with a guy that used to forget me in parking lots, and I was crazy about him, and I had to ask myself, why am I crazy about this guy who leaves me in parking lots? And I remember that I was selling real estate, and as much as I really loved the company I worked for and I liked the art of doing real estate deals, when you're doing something that, it's not really, like, you have moments when you love it, but it's not really your thing. Like, you wouldn't do it for free. It's just not really your thing. You're just doing it because it's in front of you and it's something to do right now in your life. Well, that's what real estate was like for me. And so I went off and I went to go do this quest with God to figure out my life pretty much. And what I did was I went and I worked with, I don't know, it was like 6-7 people in Sedona, Arizona, and we were all just trying to develop our relationship with God. And I didn't know anybody, which was a huge stretch for me because of the fact that I never was really comfortable in groups of people that I didn't know. I was one of those people who was afraid to speak on stages, afraid to speak in a crowd, afraid to speak at a dinner table. I mean, I was riddled with fear. But the crazy thing is that when I went to go do my spiritual work and get a relationship with God, it was interesting. When things are interesting, it's like you have these aha moments, but you're going to go back to your regular life, and just like every other time, when you go back to your regular life, that moment was like a moment that you're talking about now, but it's not really affecting you too much now. Well, that's kind of what I figured was going to happen to me. And I was going back to real life now. And as I was going back to real life, I remember driving in my X5 BMW. I'm driving along, and I have remember the movie The Secret? If you haven't seen it, go Google it. It's all about law of attraction. So I was listening to the CD of the movie The Secret, and I'm sitting there listening to it, and it was almost like it wasn't playing in my car. When a record skips, like you've got that skip, 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 like where it's like replaying the same sentence or course I know we don't do records anymore, but when a record skips, it repeats the same message or part of the song over and over and over again. And you have to pick up the needle and move it over so it gets past the scratch on the record so it stops skipping. So that's what it was like. There was this voice inside my car. It sounded like a microphone. It was like this microphone that was telling me that I needed to teach financial freedom. And I remember I had this job in real estate, and it was going pretty good. Like, I had full autonomy. We were selling. I was happy. You know what I mean? I was flying to London every single month. I was like going there for 2 weeks out of the month, and things were going good. And this voice kept telling me I needed to teach financial freedom. And I remember having an argument with this voice. And this went on for, I'm not kidding you, about an hour and a half. And I literally tuned everything out. And imagine sitting in your car and arguing with yourself. But for me, it was this voice, right? And this voice is telling me to teach financial freedom. And I'm saying, I'm not a speaker. I have a job. I'm not an author. Like, I don't know, like, this is not me, and I don't want it to be me. And I argued with the voice for my limitations. And here's what I mean. It's happening no matter what. So what if you were just to surrender? It's happening no matter what. So what if you were just to surrender, right? Like, you could do everything you can to block quitting that job, taking that job, staying in that relationship, leaving that relationship, moving to a city, or waiting till you have enough money to move to a city. you could logic yourself completely out of what's trying to manifest in your life, or you could have deep faith and pay attention to this calling, this voice, or the signs, right? Pay attention. I have a woman in my life that was wondering, should I go to Vegas for a meeting? And she was telling me how she just prayed and asked God. And she's the woman that I pray with and has become a great friend recently. And she prayed, should I go to Vegas for this meeting? And she went through a checkout stand at the grocery store. And in the checkout stand, the woman pulled out the receipt and said, "Oh, look, you won. It's like going to Vegas." You know what I mean? Or some variation of that. I think I just butchered that. But it was like some variation of that. Who it was like, "You won the lottery. It's like going to Vegas." And it was like right after she prayed. Now, a lot of people, what they'll do is when you have those signs or those moments or those reoccurring, messages that are coming forward to you, you still somehow shove them down and logic your way into another reality. I have another great friend of mine who married a football player, and they had great children together, and they had the beginning of a great life together. They're no longer together, but he ended up becoming a massive alcoholic, and their relationship was less than ideal. You could fill in the gaps on that. And I remember just sitting with her recently, and she said, all the signs were there. And what's amazing is today she helps women in transition, right? Get out of these moments of like, you want to transition, but you're afraid, you don't know how, maybe you're not even happy anymore, right? So she helps women of transition. My point is that there's a lot of us doing God's work. There's a ton of us doing God's work, whether you're teaching business like me or whatever it is that you're doing. Maybe you're just a good evangelist in the planet, right? For your friends or people like that. But what I will tell you is success does leave clues, and you can make money doing anything you love. You can have a great life, the one that you actually want, if you just surrender, because it's going to happen anyway, unless you resist all the way to the grave. I mean, and you could do that. Now, let me debrief something for you. It doesn't look like so many people online make it look like. Be careful who you're studying with. Be careful what energy person, business person, friend you're listening to. Be careful the message, because it doesn't look like, oh, this is just so easy. It's in the flow, and there's no problems. Because here's what Scripture says, that God works best in the stretch. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to be in a situation where you're in a relationship that's just really not working and it's not going to work. Or maybe it's a moment to have a real come to Jesus conversation that this has got to work and this is what I need. Tell me what you need and let's give this a shot. And if this isn't working, then we're going to part our ways, meaning the agreement has to work. If the agreement's not working, we're not going to keep going down this road, right? And put a stake in the ground instead of playing this roller coaster. If you're running a business and things are really not working, maybe you need to ask yourself, okay, what needs to work right now? Otherwise, I'm not doing this thing, right? What is it? Then ask yourself, who do you have to be? Because remember back to the relationship thing? I mean, I had to have that come to Jesus conversation with my husband. And it really was when I surrendered. I was completely committed, but I surrendered. And I surrendered to the vision of the life I wanted. And we were either going to figure that out like now, or we weren't. And we were going to move on and co-parent. And, and I'm happy to say that my husband went in and did some work, and then now we do work together, and it's great. But it couldn't just be one-sided, right? It needed us both. We both need to come to the table and agree. And so, and I feel so blessed that has worked out the way it has, and I really have a good relationship now. But the truth is that I wasn't going to stay in a relationship or a life or a business that was not serving the highest vision of what I wanted. Now let me decode that. This is not about blaming people. It's not about giving up on your business because it's hard. It's not about giving up on a relationship because somebody's peeing you off, right? It's not about that. It's not about I'm in a really frustrating moment and I can't get through it. You know, look at Spartan races when you jump over these walls. It's hard. Often you're crying on one side of the wall, right? Like, so the game is not about it's getting easy. You have to gamify everything. You have to gamify everything and be like, what's the ultimate vision? What does it look like? I met a lot of people who've been married, who have incredible relationships now, who started off with infidelity, right? So the reason why I share this with you is because it's really not about you blaming your business on not spending time with your kids, your man or your woman on not having the relationship you want. It's actually about you going, what is the vision? You know, Ariel Ford, if you don't know her, she's written many books on love. And Ariel's a great friend of mine. And Ariel said to me, not the other day, but when I was going through a hard time with Ash, she sat down with both of us and she said, you guys have to stop making decisions that are based on just you. So it doesn't matter what Shanda wants. It doesn't matter what Ash wants. What is the vision for the relationship, which some of you guys have to create for yourself, instead of having these conversations of this is what I need, this is what I need, and staying there. You need to know that, right, with each other. But now take the conversation up a level to a God level. And your stuff will get handled, right, because you need to be heard. But after you're heard, let go of that and go up to this level of what is the vision? What is the vision that we can align on? That is the vision for our relationship. What is the vision for your business? What is the vision for your fitness? And then invest in figuring that out. So Ariel says, and it took us a while to figure this out. What is the best decision in this situation for the relationship, not for the individual person? And in business, I've found when you figure out what you want and what your vision is, then the questions, so you figure out what you want in a business, in a relationship is what do you both need, and then let all that go and go up a level to a God level and say, for business, it would be, what do they need from me? If I put my focus on what I want and it stays there, I drive and I drive and I drive and I become very masculine, because building anything, parenting, it's very masculine when you're working a plan. But you got to get into your authenticity. So you need to get up to the vision that is the God vision. And the God vision in business looks like, what do they need from me? It's complete generosity. And then all your needs will be taken care of. In a relationship, what does the relationship need from me? That's the focus. It's a slight tweak up in your looking. Right here is about us. Right here is actually about the God-driven vision. And that has you out of selfish need. And what happens is things start coming together. So back to my story of the voice in my car for 90 minutes telling me that I needed to teach financial freedom. I went off and I continued to do my real estate business, and I continued to do that for another year. But what I said to the voice in my car, and I call it my God moment, was I said, all right, I'll call my friend Robert, and I'll ask him if he'll create a program with me. But if he doesn't, I never want to hear from you again. And the voice stopped. And I called my friend Robert, and then he got back to me, and he told me, I would love to create a program for you, or with you. And Robert was the only person I knew who had an email list and an audience, and he actually said he co-created a program with me. Lo and behold, I did basically an intro training call with him over a conference call, sitting in my car in the dark in Las Vegas, scared to death because I couldn't public speak. And I think I did 3 or 6. I can't remember. I did 3 or 6, like $2,000 or $3,000. I can't remember exactly. I'll have to ask him. $2,000 or $3,000 sales off a conference line. And I just remember going, wow, I love serving, and I cannot believe I made money for that. And here's what I got to tell you. That's from, I had to get out from under myself and look up at what do the people need from me right now. And that's why not only did I make money, but my needs got met. I got served, meaning that I got to do something I loved, that if I would have focused on just what I wanted in life, to actually go and coach and help people and make money, if I just focused on me and it stopped there, I wouldn't have had the guts to do that call. I wouldn't have had the guts to get on a stage. And even if I did, I would have completely bombed, because you have to do your best, and your best is focused out. So the moral of this morning's Coffee with Shanda is just pay attention to the signs happening in your life. Please don't do what I did and stay in something for longer than you need to. Timing is not real. The timing is, if you're already getting the messages right now, it means that you could have that right now. You know, I felt like I needed to, you know, even after I sold those spots of people who got to work with me on that first teleconference call that I did, I still worked in real estate for another year. Now, for some of you guys, that's a great strategy, right? It's like a business loan for a year. It paid for me to get up and going. But here's what's crazy. Even when I left, I ran out of money anyway, right? Because I needed to learn how to make money, because that was my journey. I need to learn that skill. And so whatever you have to learn, it's going to happen regardless. I mean, you can't set yourself up to be safe, because whatever you need to learn is going to happen anyway, right? And so you can't stop it. It's going to happen anyway. And so what I recommend that you do is stop saying things like it's not the right time. Stop saying things like, I just need to set this up before I do this, right? Stop doing that, because that's you putting the brakes on your life. And here's what I know for sure. Trust yourself, trust God, pay attention to the signs. Don't make stuff up out of your head. Proof is in your life, meaning that everything you're supposed to be doing is there's connection points in your history that share what you should be doing in your future. And just pay attention to what's not working and push into that. That pressure wants you to pay attention to it. So don't ignore it. Don't drink, don't smoke, don't do drugs, don't do things, don't shop, don't do the things that have you avoid the pressure. Go in and pay attention to the place that you've got pressure, and relieve that pressure, which is probably going to be a hard conversation with you, yourself and I, or a hard conversation with somebody else. But go have that conversation. All right, you guys, God bless. I will talk to you soon. Tomorrow is on 6 a.m. Coffee with Shanda. It's called Freestyle Fridays. And Freestyle Fridays means please start the thread by asking your questions. Please don't come and not ask a question. Ask me a question tomorrow on Freestyle Fridays on anything to do with your business, or anything to do with your life, or managing time, or whatever that looks like, wherever the pressure is. Start Coffee with Shanda tomorrow morning by leaving me a comment on where is the pressure and what would you like to see happen. And then we'll have a really great conversation. It's always fun on Freestyle Fridays. And I will talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye.